I'm going to move now, if we may, and talk about burglaries. This is from the Lib Dems. A staggering 213,279 burglaries went unsolved across England and Wales in the 2022-23 financial year. Now, that averages out 584 a day. The Lib Dems actually went through Home Office statistics. So that's a pretty woeful record. When you break it down, the South Yorkshire force recorded the worst outcomes, with 84% unsolved. They were followed closely by Hampshire at 83%, the Met at 81%. The Lib Dems are saying, well, it's because all the resources are in the wrong place. They say we want more community policing. They also want a burglary response guarantee where all domestic burglaries would be attended by the police and properly investigated. Now, I understood that in the Met, they said that that would be happening. Let's find out what is going on. Mike Neville, former Met Police Detective Chief Inspector, joins me now. Good morning.
Good morning, David.
What do you make about this? I mean, this is just another set of terrible figures in terms of the breakdown here between the public and the police. If you have a burglary, it's not just having your stuff nicked. It's actually, it's an invasion of your privacy. It's a terrible thing for anyone to happen. And what you expect to happen is for the police to thoroughly investigate it.
David, I absolutely agree. I remember somebody saying to me that, you know, shed burglary, but the burglars have been in the garden where my children play. So it's not just a house, it's just a whole violation of somebody's safe sanctuary and whatever else. And the police are just failing here. I mean, the stats are even worse than you say. When they say the word solved, I'm not sure where they're getting that from, whether that's like suspects identified, because it's only about, it's less than 10% actually get charged, probably about 5%. So burglars know that they've got a, you know, 1 in 20 chance of getting caught. So you're a burglar, Bill, and you can just do what you want. And not only that, is even if you get caught, you go to court, of course, and you get a 10-bob sentence, and you're out again to commit more burglaries. Now, there's several reasons for this. The police have been, they're very inexperienced. They've got very few detectives. Many of the officers are, you know, 2 and 3 years service. So even when they're told, oh, you'll attend every burglary, there's one thing attending a burglary, there's another thing to investigate when you get there, to know what you should be doing. So the public are just let down. And I think that most people now, they report a burglary, not because they think the police will catch the burglar, it's because they need the insurance number to claim whatever's stolen back. It's a really sad state of affairs, and it really whittles down, it really lowers public confidence in policing, which is at an all-time low and doesn't need to drop anymore.
Well, absolutely. I was looking back, actually, at my numbers. 2 million unsolved crimes, 90% of thefts are also unsolved. Knife crime at its highest since the 1940s. It's a total mess.
Absolutely. And when you say about thefts, they're the ones that are reported. Because, of course, if 500 quid in cash gets nicked from you, you don't report it because you couldn't claim it on the insurance. So the figures are really, really bad. At least with burglary, we can guess that the numbers are nearly correct because people do report it because they need that insurance number. But it's just the lack of investigation, David. So let me give you an example that 10 years ago, the police were solving 3 times as many burglaries. And in that 10 years, though, about 40% of people have investigated in things like home CCTV or Ring doorbells. So during the 10 years, the opportunities to solve the crime have increased, yet the actual solving of them has decreased significantly. And there's another number of reasons for this. Firstly, the police don't have the technical skills to get hold of the footage. Even if they get hold of the images, they have no real systems to circulate them. It's absolutely appalling. It's not like fingerprints and DNA. And also the senior managers have been focusing on things like diversity and things like solving crime have gone to the bottom of the list. And if you look at any police website today and try and see how many burglaries they've solved, you won't be able to find it. You can find out how many ethnic minorities have been stopped and searched, how many women they employ, etc., etc. These are things I suggest the public aren't interested in. The public are interested in, is my home safe? and they're not publishing that data.
And of course, this will become a massive electoral battlefield as the election approaches, and law and order always plays well, or used to play well, for the Conservative government. Now, they're obviously saying, well, we're training more and more police officers. What do you think is the answer here? I think the Lib Dems said more community policing. What about PCSOs? They seem to be dropping. We're getting more recruits coming in. But actually, the biggest problem is, as you said right at the beginning, we don't have enough experienced police officers.
That's right. I was speaking to a serving colleague who's a superintendent rank, who was saying, most of these officers, got 2 and 3 years. When I was on a shift as a young PC, there was officers with 25 years. There was a dedicated burglary squad in the CID office whose job was to catch these burglars and see how much they could do. But I think you're right. On the electoral thing, this is the real push. You can see these Labour and the Liberal Democrats are making all these Freedom of Information Act requests to show that the government is utterly failing. And we've had 13 or more years of a Conservative government and crime seemingly out of control. But I think...
Sorry, carry on.
But the technical issues, the fact that burglars are being recorded on Ring doorbells and home CCTV and they're not being caught is a shocker. And I say every time when I come on that I'm not here to sort of criticise all the time. I say to senior police officers, I can help you sort this out. But it's almost like speaking to a blank wall that they don't seem to be interested. One of the worst forces on there, Hampshire. I actually spoke to their deputy chief constable. We gave a presentation. They say you can catch more burglars with images. We never heard back. It's just shameful, to be honest. And I could put my head in my hands because there's nothing worse than knowing you could make communities safer and then senior police officers just, I don't know, dismiss things. It's bad.
How much of this is linked to the closure of all the police stations? I mean, certainly when I was growing up, there were active police stations you could walk in, there was a community presence, you knew where the bobbies were, all that kind of stuff. All of that's gone. What sort of signal does that send out where you actually can't find a police station?
Well, it's almost like withdrawing, isn't it? It's like withdrawing from the community. That safe haven where people could see that blue lamp and run in and know their local officer, that, as you say, who they could tell things. And what's happened is seemingly all short-term gains. Oh, we'll sell that my old police station. When I was a PC, Clapham at Union Grove, that's now a block of flats. So all those places which were a safe hub where people could recognise this is my local police station, these are my local officers, I can tell them if I'm suspicious of something, that's all gone on a short-term whim. And then we have this idea that, policing is not a 30-year career, people can dip in and out and do other jobs. It doesn't work like that because it takes years to build up the trade craft where you spot somebody walking down the street and you think, what are they up to? And you've got the confidence to stop them and they've got the bag full of jemmies or whatever else and you can arrest the burglar. Those skill sets have been lost, and also with the cuts, whilst the government will say, we're replacing the 20,000 officers that Theresa May got rid of, what they've not got back is the 10,000 sort of civilian staff who covered a lot of the backroom duties, who would then release the officers to go to more burglary scenes and investigate. So that's a real issue as well, that the police are backfilling all those civilian jobs that were lost.
So what's the answer? More police, more backroom staff, also liberating police officers to stop doing so much paperwork and get out on the streets?
The simplest thing would be this, is that the Home Secretary at the very top could say, right, there are no more targets about diversity or anything like that. The only target for the police is to catch criminals and reduce crime. That's it. We're not bothered about the sex, sexuality or colour of officers.
So why don't they do that? Why doesn't the Home Secretary do that?
Politics, because the whole establishment has been captured by this. Every senior officer at the moment has been promoted during that time. So that's what, politically, that's what could be done today. Operationally, dedicated burglary squad. Also, have a method, technical method of obtaining all that CCTV and Ring doorbell footage, which can then be circulated and those burglars identified. Making sure as well that officers are trained when they go to a burglary scene. What are they looking for? What forensic evidence are they looking for? How can they make it better? Also, teaching people what are the methods of crime prevention. How can you make your home safer? We don't seem to see many officers giving that sort of advice. So there's several things that could be done straight away that could make a big difference. And as I say, if there's one place you should feel safe, David, it's in your home.
Indeed, right. Thank you so much for your time, Mike. That's Mike Neville, their former Met Police Detective Chief Inspector. Lots of messages coming in.